This is Shoreline for CrabCon 2024, the annual news magazine covering news, history, science, trivia, and trends in all things land hermit crab related. Here is your host, Larisa Meeks.
Welcome to Shoreline 2024. In this episode, we will cover non-chemical pesticides, hermit crabs and NASA, ocean microplastics, and our favorite crustaceans in the media. We will also take a fresh look at starter pet ideas. This year's top story, non-chemical pesticides. Why are they important? And how to use them safely around hermit crabs. Physical or mechanical? As you will see, these terms are often interchangeable, but we are primarily discussing any non-chemical pest control. From Dr. Killigan's, mechanical control refers to the use of physical devices or manual techniques to remove or deter pests. This method doesn't rely on chemical substances, but rather utilizes traps, barriers, or other devices to either catch or repel the pest. One of the major advantages of mechanical method solutions is that pests cannot build up a resistance to them, as they often do with a chemical-based insecticide and pesticide. Over time, pests can adapt to chemicals, making them less effective and requiring stronger, potentially more hazardous solutions. The weak die off, and the strong continue to breed, thus creating a super insect. This is how head lice became resistant. And now, families are encouraged to use home remedies such as manual removal, heat, and smothering to control head lice. Used outside the crab habitat and throughout the home, examples include moth traps, fly traps, and fruit fly traps. While these may be considered pesticide-free, many do make use of pheromones, which are a substance that animals secrete in order to communicate. Most of the bait and lure methods are combined with trapping. Window sticky fly traps can be used on the outside of the crab habitat glass or in windows in your crab room or in other locations within your home. Some crab keepers have had success using adhesive, non-toxic gnat traps. Extreme caution must be used when placing these sticky traps within the crab habitat. Always be sure to place out of reach of your hermit crabs. It is best for glass-top crab habitats or topper ceilings that cannot be used for climbing. The use of duct tape, gaffer's tape, and adhesive expanding foam weather stripping and attaching toppers are examples of barrier methods. Even a thin layer of Vaseline or petroleum jelly spread along the rim of a crab habitat or on airlines to stop ants is a form of barrier pest control. If your tank or topper has a port for airline tube access, you can use plain craft foam sheets and silicone to create a seal. In this example, I used a hole punch to run the airlines through the foam and siliconed in place. For terrariums used as toppers that have any gap between the door, 3M makes a silicone window seal, also called a weather strip or draft stopper, that is adhesive on 50% of one side. You place the strip on the door you plan to open the most so that it will close on top of the other door, thus blocking any gap. Another example of combining methods, you may combine barrier and trapping by using adhesive film or double-sided tape outside the crab habitat. These solutions generally make the environment, perhaps in a limited area, inhospitable to life. Examples include steam, boiling, heat as in an oven, sealing from oxygen, and freezing. According to Oklahoma State University Extension, diatomaceous earth consists of fossilized remains of diatoms, a type of hard-shelled microalgae. It is used as a filtration aid, mild abrasive in products including metal polishes and toothpaste, mechanical insecticide, absorbent for liquids, cat litter, a stabilizing component of dynamite, a thermal insulator, and a soil for potted plants and trees, as in the art of bonsai. Sharp edges of the ground diatoms scratch the waxy or oily outer layer of soft-bodied insects, which eventually die from dehydration. Because its function is to scratch the insect's outer body covering, diatomaceous earth is categorized as a mechanical pest control. YouTuber and former NASA engineer Mark Rober made an excellent video on bed bugs demonstrating the superior performance of non-chemical pest control. Here is a short clip from that video.
2, we've got diatomaceous earth, which, as you recall, was the superstar from our tests. You should definitely apply this around the bed, but it's especially useful in penetrating the cracks and crevices close to the bed, including around and behind power outlets. The key is applying just a light dusting like this. If you leave it in clumps, it will actually backfire and not be as effective because they'll just navigate around it. And finally, at number 3, we've got steam. A simple clothes steamer like this will do the job. And I think it's great that with all the years and money spent on creating all these synthetic pesticides, the 2 most effective methods for killing bed bugs are just crushed up rocks and really hot water, which are by far the 2 most simple and natural.
Diatomaceous earth harms exoskeletons. Never use diatomaceous earth in the crab attack. Never, ever use diatomaceous earth in the crab attack. Be careful to not get dust on anything you plan to use in the crab attack. Now, a word about ants. Many crab keepers have found success using Terra liquid ant baits outside the crab attack, but inside the home or outside in flower beds or in the yard. Never use in the crab attack. Also, due to the sticky nature of the traps, you may want to consider putting something under the trap in case of leakage. Never use natural repellents in the crab attack. Our hermit crabs do not like things that repel insects. There is a wonderful resource available called Fresh and Forage Foods for Land Hermit Crabs, available from My Hungry Hermit on Etsy. Within the guide, there is a section called The Unsafe, Unpopular, and Unknown, which has an ant icon next to items that are known to be insect repellents. Let's talk about food storage. It is important to store crab foods using a mixture of oxygen deprivation and barrier forms of pest management. This can mean keeping even the wonderfully packaged mixes from Lycos-approved sellers in plastic containers for extra protection. Store foods away from the crab attack: crabby foods, pet foods, and even human foods.
We'll be right back.
Hey teachers, do you have a classroom pet? Is it a hermit crab? Well, Claws in the Classroom is here to help. Go to lycos.org/claws-in-the-classroom.
Hermit crabs and NASA. After World War II, military scientists turned their attention towards spaceflight. The early tests were on a variety of animals, either in rockets or in conditions mimicking what they believed astronauts would encounter. In addition to launching animals in rockets such as the V-2, they were put in centrifuges or similar devices in order to test the extreme forces on the body. In 1966, Dr. Walter Abbott and C.E. Dawson of the Gulf Coast Research Laboratory in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, conducted a study on hermit crabs. Before explaining the study they performed, I am going to show you some clips of a study performed more than 15 years earlier on mice.
Inside the container, a camera test reveals how the mice act under normal gravity. The aluminum drum is divided into 2 containers by a plexiglass wall, and in the rear section, a shelf fitted with a tiny flange on the end projects into the compartment. As the drum rotates, the mouse can ride with it until the normal pull of gravity, or 1G, makes hanging on impossible. All tow holes are eliminated in the front section, so the G-force of normal gravity holds the front mouse at the bottom, exactly what the mouse is used to. The ball is a handy reference indicating the direction, but not the strength, of the G-force holding the mice. It is used later to detect rotation of the rocket while in flight. Acceleration after takeoff subjects the mice to 4G, or 4 times the normal pull of gravity. Normally, the mice weigh 30 grams each. Now they weigh 4 times 30, or 120 grams each, and their legs are unable to support them. Fighter pilots are often subjected to 5 and 6 Gs without ill effect.
The mice were subjected to up to 5G, or 5 times the force of Earth's gravity. At the time of the study, the most an astronaut had undergone in space was 11.1 Gs by Gus Grissom in the Mercury capsule. And the most any human had gone through was 20 Gs in the Navy's giant whirling centrifuge at Johnsonville, Pennsylvania. Hermit crabs were found to be able to withstand an incredible 2,700 Gs. During the experiment, 9 times, the 2 biologists ran 35 hermit crabs around a centrifuge at speeds as high as 7,500 revolutions per minute. The discovery came as scientists were working to study hermit crabs' anatomy, and they had difficulty removing the crabs from their shells. Up until this point, the laboratory had been using heat for removal, but half the time the specimen emerged dead or too mangled. Of the 35 hermit crabs used, 6 died. However, one of the deaths was attributed to injuries from a fall suffered in the lab.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a special report.
Ocean City, New Jersey is claiming that Martin Z. mollusk, the city's tourism mascot, was the first hermit crab in space. They have reported that Martin took flight on Martin Z. mollusk's day in 1980. Former Public Relations Director Mark Sofer placed Martin in a small wicker basket attached to a kite. Mr. Sofer claimed that the event was sanctioned by NASA, but this cannot be confirmed. Martin ascended only 10 feet before returning to the ground. The current Martin Z. mollusk and his wife Molly reside at the Roy Gillian Welcome Center. Martin predicts the arrival of summer every year based on whether he can see his shadow on Martin Z. mollusk Day. And now, from Ocean City, New Jersey to Ocean City, Maryland.
In a shocking turn of events, authorities in Ocean City, Maryland have announced that all hermit crabs in the area are now free to roam as they please. That's right, folks, no cages required. According to local wildlife experts, the decision to release the hermit crabs was made in order to promote a more natural environment for the little critters. The news has been met with mixed reactions from locals and tourists alike. While some are excited to see the hermit crabs scurrying around the beach, others are concerned about potential impact in the local ecosystem. So if you're in the area, be sure to keep an eye out for these tiny adventurers as they explore their natural habitat. No cages required.
Did you catch that? Ocean City, Maryland's tourism team actually added Lycos information to their 2023 promotional video.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
And now, an update on ocean microplastics. There has been an article widely circulated about hermit crabs and ocean microplastics.
The Washington Post apparently issued a major correction in regard to hermit crabs.
This correction highlights the complex nature of interpreting studies seen in the news.
The story has been updated to reflect the latest information released by England's University of Hull, which corrected its own press release after publication to say its researchers found hermit crabs were probably excited and attracted to certain plastic toxins, but not sexually excited. It's an important distinction here, Cenk. So hermit crabs, though, are drawn to plastic toxins. That is not a good thing. Clearly, this pollution is harmful to all sorts of sea life, all sorts of animals. And so a chemical that's leaked from plastic dumped in the ocean is probably exciting and attracting hermit crabs, according to the researchers studying the impact of climate change, plastic and other molecules in the ocean on marine species. The team of scientists from England's University of Hull examined 40 crabs, and they found that were found in waters off Yorkshire coast to see how they reacted to olamide, an additive released by plastics found under the sea. And what they found was that it elevated the respiration rate of hermit crabs, which indicates excitement and attraction. And then the researchers noted that the product already considered to be a sex pheromone for some species of marine life, such as shrimp. Our study shows that olamide attracts hermit crabs, and that's according to a statement from a PhD candidate who took part in this study.
In lighter news, we turn to hermit crabs in entertainment. Where have you seen hermit crabs? Join us in the CrabCon live chat and let us know where you have spotted our favorite crustacean. Paramount recently released a film called Under the Boardwalk featuring hermit crabs. Fortnite offered hermit crab back bling this season. Aggro Crab released Another Crab's Treasure on all major gaming platforms. In the Star Wars universe, there were a couple of examples. There was a hermit crab turtle creature in Ahsoka. Cute little baby Grogu spotted hermit crabs in The Mandalorian. And he even saw isopods. This fun Lego Animal Crossing set features a hermit crab. Crabnapped, a land hermit crab story by Vanessa Pike Russell and Jeff Pike, was released. And now, in the press. Gulf Coast Media covered the 67th anniversary of Souvenir City in Gulf Shores, Alabama, where they proudly sell hermit crabs in painted shells. And they still advise customers to serve their hermit crabs foods like Cheerios and Rice Krispies. Mary Akers from Hermit House gave an interview to AARP magazine. And also to Outer Banks Milepost, a free magazine for tourism in North Carolina. And for our final story, responsible starter pet ideas. In my 2023 expose, Starter Pets, The Unlikely History of Hermit Crab Keeping, I documented the millions of baby turtles sold as starter pets. When the FDA banned the sale of turtles 4 inches or smaller in 1975, it set up the perfect opportunity for pet stores and entrepreneurs to sell hermit crabs. As part of our community's advocacy, it is imperative that we are able to discuss the notion of starter pets with parents and children. If we do not remain vocal on the subject, it leaves the door open for opportunists to target impulsive children. Even as crab keepers, we, as a community, can continually educate ourselves on proper animal husbandry. Keeping with the spirit of this goal, I would like to introduce Father Fish, resurrection jars, and natural aquariums as an acceptable starter pet option. Natural aquariums are not a new concept. In 1955, Encyclopedia Britannica produced a film called Balanced Aquarium, showing children how to create a low-tech, natural, dirted tank. with real live plants. Father Fish is a retired minister who has been keeping fish for over 70 years. His method begins by learning about the food web in nature. Pond water is observed for 30 days. No special supplies are needed.
The resurrection jar has become a very popular item over the last few years. It provides an opportunity for the hobbyist to study the living matter, particularly the microfauna that's living in waters adjacent to their home. It's a very simple process, actually. One simply finds a container, a jar. Well, here's one that I haven't set up yet that I'm excited about. It's a pear-shaped jar. Gather some leaf mulch or other debris, rotting debris of a vegetable matter, like leaves or twigs or those kinds of things, from a local stream or pond. Put a handful in a jar this size and fill it with the water from the pond, and then set it on a windowsill. Now, you want a western exposure or northern, if at all possible. Afternoon sun tends to cook it, so you want to be careful about that. Let it sit there for a month and observe the animals that are living and growing in it.
The process of creating a resurrection jar is basically a variation of the pond water lab experiments used in middle and high school biology classes. During the 30-day waiting process, children can observe and identify life in the pond water while also studying about a natural fish tank. This is a low-cost, low-commitment beginning and allows parents to gauge a child's interest before unnecessarily spending large sums of money.
A natural aquarium contains soil, contains nutrients, and grows plants. A natural aquarium that is an inch of gravel and some plastic plants. You are fooling yourself into believing anything that you're doing is natural. It is not.
A natural aquarium can teach children about nature and science, what a natural habitat actually is. Additionally, a natural planted fish tank will not require regular water changes or as much feeding, making them lower maintenance. Natural tanks are a wonderful example of a balanced habitat. They are a good example of how to teach about proper animal husbandry. For more information, please check out my blog, crustaceanpets.blogspot.com, with links to topics in this presentation. Feel free to contact me at crustaceanpets@gmail.com. And you can find me on TikTok at Larisa Meeks 390.
The images shown in this presentation were for illustration purposes only and may not be an exact representation of specific or proper items. The graphic representations of crab habitats were as close as possible to LICO standards while using the elements provided by Canva. Heat mats were not displayed in the crab habitats, but all crab habitats should have a heat mat covering at least 75% of the back of the tank. Crab habitats should have a sealed lid to maintain humidity. Substrate should be a 5-to-1 mixture of clay sand to eco earth at least 6 inches deep or 3 times the depth of your largest crab.
A special thank you to my husband, Bobby Meeks, for his fabulous video and sound editing. And thank you. See you at CrabCon 2025.